We have a new face with us tonight, fresh from his installation on Monday. That's what it's called when an archbishop is installed into a diocese. It's not just like a computer term. We welcome Archbishop Pat. So we're super excited to have him with us tonight, and we're going to spend a little bit of time getting to know him. So make sure if you have any questions while we're in the process of asking questions, put them on the live stream in the comments. So Archbishop Pat, are you there?
I'm right here, thank you.
Perfect. Hi, Archbishop Pat. My name is Holly.
Hello, Holly. How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good.
Right.
Before we get started in the rest of the questions, first question, how do you prefer to be addressed?
Anything really. Bishop Pat, doesn't matter.
Bishop Pat's good?
That'll be fine, yes.
Perfect. So Archbishop Pat, we put out a bit of a call to the young people of the diocese to see if they had anything they wanted to say to you. And we've put together a little bit of a video. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen and show everyone this video. And then we'll get into the getting to know you super well bit.
Great.
Hi, Archbishop Pat.
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 Hey, Archbishop Pat.
Archbishop Pat, the wait is over. Welcome to Adelaide.
We have prayed for your arrival.
And now we ask God to bless your leadership.
May you lead us with love and courage.
May you be guided by the Holy Spirit in joy and grace.
We are so excited to have you as our new Archbishop.
And we cannot wait to meet you.
We can't wait to meet you.
We can't wait to meet you.
We can't wait to meet you.
Welcome to Adelaide and Sale, Australia.
Hi, Archbishop Pat. As you can see from all of those messages, the young people of the Archdiocese of Adelaide are so excited to have you as our new Archbishop.
We can't wait to journey alongside you and get to know you better. Welcome to Adelaide.
Alrighty. That was just a small snippet of all of the young people we have here. We have quite a few, surprisingly, or not surprisingly. That was a bit me being a bit sarcastic. But yeah, so I'm excited. Okay, we've got a few questions for you. So first up, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? We know that you have a few unique interests.
Sure. I grew up in a little village in New South Wales and came from a very faith-filled family, but a wonderfully faith-filled community as well. And music was one little enriching element, both at school and at home. We didn't have many of the world's resources, but we always had back in those days, you might have heard of it, a record player. And so there was always music sort of floating around the house, and especially when my mum would take us off to musicals and things like that. So it wasn't just hearing it secondhand, but also hearing it live. And I guess it gets into your skin a little bit as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I even though I'm only, how old am I? 23, 24. I do have a record player. I do appreciate a good record. So,
wow.
Yeah.
They're coming back.
I know. It's like, it's weird that people like to get things from the past, but I think it's a cool thing to have.
Good.
All right. What exactly is the job of an archbishop?
Well, you might have to ask me in a few years' time because I've only just started. I guess in the first instance, it's a bit like being a bishop, but in a different way. And a bishop is a shepherd, first of all, trying to look after people, looking for their best interests. And the archbishop sort of looks after, in an indirect way, a couple of other places. In our case, it's Port Pirie Diocese, which is the other part of South Australia, and also the Northern Territory. It's called a province, which is basically a group of dioceses. So we form the Adelaide province, and so it's the job of the Archbishop, apart from being the Good Shepherd in Adelaide, to look after, in a fraternal way, collaboratively with the other two bishops. Bishop Greg, who you know pretty well after doing such a wonderful job here, and perhaps you know Bishop Charlie as well, having been a wonderful priest of this diocese as well. So there's a real love for Adelaide and working together. So, but apart from that, I can't tell you because I've only been here for a few days. So you might have to ask me that question a bit later.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll get you in at another Pentecost vigil in the future when we can all come together, and we'll ask you again.
That's right. That'll be much better.
Yeah. All right. So we know you've only been here for a short time, and for those of you watching on the live stream, if you got to watch the live stream of the installation on Monday, I know I was watching from home. You spoke very well about your experiences, and you shared how you hadn't had too much of an experience of Adelaide before. But from what you've experienced, what are the biggest differences between Adelaide and your experience in your previous diocese, the Diocese of Sale?
The Diocese of Sale is a bit of a hybrid. That is to say, it's got a country area, and we also take in some of the eastern suburbs of Melbourne as well, and including the fastest growing part of Australia around places like Cranbourne. And yet to me, and don't hope this is not going to Melbourne, but Melbourne was just a bit too big. It was lovely, wonderful, but a little bit impersonal because it was so big. What I just love so much so far is that Adelaide seems to be the right size, and a lovely mixture between, obviously, I mean, I've only been to Adelaide so far, but just looking at the map, we've got a lovely diversity as well. Apart from Adelaide, there's all these other lovely little places, which all have their distinct characteristics. So that's all complementary and gracious. So even though we had lots of diversity in Sale, right up to the New South Wales border, and a lovely place called Wilson's Promontory, and up in the high country, the Snowy Mountains, this is a different diversity as well. There, I lived 110 kilometres from the cathedral. Oh, so wow. One of the good things is being sort of on site. I mean, I'm doing Mass at the cathedral tomorrow, and it's going to take me 5 minutes or something to get there. So that's really exciting. And again, I'm looking forward to exploring. They're probably about 2 to 3 times bigger than Sale in terms of Catholic population, but in general population, quite a other factor as well. So the good thing is I'm ready to explore when things open up a little bit more as well, both the physical dimension, but also more importantly, meeting people, because that's the important thing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good that you're used to traveling distances to get to the people of your diocese. I know us in the choir office, we often travel to the more distant parts of the diocese to go visit the young people there, and we've just been up to Mount Gambier earlier this year. I'm sure you'll love it up there and in the mid-north and all those different places.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Yeah. So what was it like for you to experience your installation in the way it happened? So obviously having been streamed online and a much smaller crowd, it was really kind of a bit of a shock for us to watch and see that there was the cathedral was so empty, because we're so used to it being so full. How did that feel for you?
Well, I guess for the last couple of months, I've been used to doing the live streaming and the lack of people. And, you know, when you have a big ceremony, you often have a practice before where there are just few people. Well, it actually feels like a practice where, you know, you're doing everything but before the big event. So it was a bit surreal, knowing that this wasn't practice, this was the real thing. And it was rather sad, as you might have seen me demonstrate, that both the Diocese of Archdiocese of Adelaide couldn't be there in person in great form, nor my extended family as well. So I really felt that, and yet at the same time, through the marvels of technology such as we're doing now, we had the opportunity of at least connecting. So I thought that was great. It would have been very awkward and awful had we not been able to have that live stream, where it was sort of like being in a bit of a cave with, just a holy huddle of a few people. So it was surreal, but at least it gave a chance of beginning in a strong and prayerful way. And there was a great sense of joy there too. I mean, I'm not sure we could wipe the smile off Bishop O'Kelly's face after it, but because he felt very, very relieved. But and I came to know very quickly the very dedicated and joyful and wonderful group of people. And again, that was my experience before, that you're joining a wonderful river of faith, I might have called it before. But there are some truly wonderful and dedicated and life-giving people. So that made me feel at peace as well, and joyful on that day, despite the fact of others not being able to join in that direct way, but an indirect way.
Yeah, wow. Look, we've got some people commenting on our live stream. Someone's commented a picture of sheep. I'm assuming that's in reference to Sale. We've got
being a shepherd.
Yeah, of course. And we've got someone called Megan saying hello from Bathurst.
Hello, Megan.
And we have one of our youth ministers, Maddie, saying that she was born in Leongatha. Is that
Leongatha, yes.
Yeah.
St. Lawrence's, yes.
Born there. And we've got Sam, one of our other youth ministers, saying, hi, Archbishop Pat. Thank you for your presence in Adelaide.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah. Okay. If anyone has any questions for Archbishop Pat, that they have a specific thing they want to know, post it in the live stream, and we will get to that. But I've still got a few more. Now, we have in our office, I'm not sure if you've heard yet. Oh, you have, yeah, because James actually interviewed you, I think. Or was it you? I can't remember. I have to go back and listen.
James.
No. It was Bishop Greg. Never mind. I'm getting my bishops confused now.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's easy enough to do.
Our office has a radio program or a podcasting program called ArchD Radio. And so we actually said to James, you have been in this business for a really long time. What are some good questions we can ask the Archbishop? And he gave us a ripper of a question, it's not really a question, it's more of a phrase.
Yep.
And it is, finish this phrase, being Catholic means
having a generous and full and open and life-giving heart.
Whoa, well, that was good.
Because I think it is, because, there's so many people like to constrict things, to say, I'm only for this group or for that group. And also, it's a little bit what we're doing tomorrow, being open to receive the Spirit. You need an open and generous heart. Mm-hmm. And I love the phrase of Pope Francis where he says, we've got to connect the head with the heart and the hands. And each of them is very important, but you've got to get them working together. You can't just live in your head. You can't just work with your hands. You can't have just a heart like that, but you've got to get them all working together. So being Catholic means being able to use that wherever you are with whatever you've got. And one of the lovely things about being in any diocese is you get to meet some great people just keeping the show on the road. In small little places, in huge places where they've got hot and cold running everything, they are doing something with what they've got, where they are. And, it's really about taking your baptism seriously, really, being on mission, but also recognizing that it's a gift. And so an open, generous and life-giving heart actually responds to that, because it knows that we need to be open to that richness of God to do that. End of sermon.
Yeah, thanks. All right, we've got some questions on the thing. We've also got a hello from Kate. Hello from all the Morris crew from Bathurst.
Oh, hello, all the Morris and Perthville, of course.
All right, so first question we've got in the comments is, what do you do for fun?
Well, I do like reading. I'm not much of a sports person. I like listening to music, and over the last few years or so, I've developed an interest in photography when I get a chance. But
Cool.
but the question, the difficulty is getting a chance to do those things.
Yes, I can see.
You know what it's like?
You might be a bit busy.
That's right. Or yeah.
I feel like those are some of my hobbies too. I feel like we're going to get along just fine.
Sure.
We've got Jethan from Jesus Youth saying, excited to have you in our family.
Great.
And we've got Margaret from the Ministry Formation Program saying that Ministry Formation Program is looking forward to meeting you.
Hello, Margaret. Yes, seen her name, I think. Yes.
Yeah. All right. We've got a question from Andrea who says, thanks for joining us tonight. What's your plan for the youth in Adelaide?
Well, part of everything that we're doing at the moment is to look through the lens of the plenary council. So how we engage people in that process is one element. But I don't want to be too prescriptive right at the beginning because I don't know what the needs are. So first of all, to listen, to look and to see what the needs are and see what we can do together. Because it's not just sort of bringing a pre-prepared plan and say, look, this is what we're going to do, because each place is different. And you've already been working away at a lot of projects as well. But I do know that the best thing from all of the different documentations in my own experience is that peer-to-peer ministry works best, and how we can encourage that and how we can bring that alive and what that looks like are just some of the thoughts I have at the moment. But I haven't been here long enough even to catch up with yourselves, to listen to the story, to see what we've been doing, and then see how might we continue that and deepen that as well.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, next question from Lauren is, what's your favourite band / style of music?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm too old to worry about too many bands. But I do like more classical music and folk music, but I've got a broad range of interest that way. But I don't have a favourite band as such. I was probably just born just a little bit too early for those sorts of things. Think of the Beatles, yes.
The Beatles?
No, you can think of the Beatles and you're
all right. Yeah. Oh, well, I feel like that's a very fair answer, not picking favourites. Maddie has said, let's set up an Instagram for your photos that you take. So for your photography.
I've only got 100,000 of them, so that might take a little while.
That's all right. So does everyone else on Instagram.
Yes.
From Michael, who is the head of the RE team. Welcome, Archbishop Pat.
Hello, Michael. That's my middle name.
Oh, something in common. Always love that. All right. Chloe, who works at Tennyson Woods down in Mount Gambier, says that our young people down here in Mount Gambier are excited to meet you.
Great.
All right. A question from Sam. What's your favourite gospel story?
Well, that's always difficult because I like all of the Gospels. But what I love, especially during the Easter season, are the times where Jesus appears to the disciples. And I guess I love that image of Jesus cooking breakfast and that whole very human approach to come and have breakfast and the great miraculous catch of fish and all of that kind of thing. But again, the beautiful thing is we go through all these different seasons. So I sort of have not favourites, but different parts of the year, things speak to me. And then, of course, we've all had the experience of, oh, yes, I've read that 100 times. But this particular day, it seems to be the favourite, the one that really speaks, even though I've seen it 100 times before. So I think that's part of the beautiful thing about the dynamic work of the Spirit, that both we have a seasonal approach to reading the scriptures, so different things appeal, but sometimes you just turn over something and all of a sudden there's a richness there. But for this particular year, I think those wonderful images of the risen Jesus appearing to the disciples in their pain, in their difficulty. They've been working hard all night, trying to catch fish, didn't catch anything. And then there's Jesus cooking breakfast. Beautiful.
Yeah. We were just talking about that particular story the other day within the team here in our office. So that was very nice. All right, we've got another question. This one sounds like a bit of a tricky one. I don't know, maybe it's tricky for me, but might not be too tricky for you. We've got Shireen, and she says, which of the disciples do you like the most, and why do you think you connect to that specific disciple?
Again, it sort of waxes and wanes a bit, but again, because it's Easter, I think I turn to Thomas, because Thomas is called the twin. And I don't think Thomas doubted. He just really wanted to believe himself. And I think that lovely little detail of Thomas being the twin means that's who we're supposed to be as well. We want to have a direct and literally a contact with Jesus, but also we want to connect. And we just don't want to believe on the say-so of someone else. That helps. But we want to have that life-giving relationship with the risen Lord. So I think Thomas appeals to me. But then again, ask me next week, and it could be Bartholomew, or it could be James, or someone else. But at the moment, I'll put my weights up for Thomas.
Cool. All right. Okay, another question about one of your favourites. This is from Benil. Hi, Archbishop Pat. Who is your favourite saint?
Well, you haven't probably seen the little card I got done for the installation, because I think they're in rather short supply at the moment. But on there, I have a quote from Blessed Charles de Foucauld, who was a French person. And I was delighted this week that the Pope has given his approval that he might be canonized.
Oh, wow.
Now, he's an extraordinary saint that speaks to our time, because he says, where is God? Where are the deserts of the modern world? Our cities, which are often soulless and lifeless. So he talks about finding God in the ordinary things, in the silence sometimes, and just listening. So again, there's a beautiful array of saints from which to choose. And so my favourite at the moment, again, ask me next week, it could be very different, is the one who's just been cleared to be canonised. Charles de Foucauld, an extraordinary saint for our time, but aren't there so many? There's so many beautiful stories of God's grace at work in so many lives. It's not just a particular pattern, but the broad spectrum of that God can touch people's lives in so many different ways. It's wonderful. So that's at the moment. Next week could be different.
We'll have to keep asking you an update, everyone. Maybe we'll do a weekly. What is Archbishop Pat's favourite of the week?
That's right. Yes.
All right. Lucky last question. What would you like to say to the young people of the Archdiocese?
Well, I think it's the message that echoes right throughout the scriptures. If you have a look at the scriptures, the phrase, be not afraid, occurs 366 times, which happens to coincide in a leap year with each and every day. Because there are so many things about which we can be fearful and afraid. And I think that's the message of Pentecost as well. You've got generous hearts. What I love about people, and especially young people, is they've got good and generous hearts. Use that for good. We have been given, this is the year 2020, could you imagine it? And we've been given all these wonderful tools to recognise our own dignity as a son and daughter of God, to recognise and build up that in others, especially where it's lacking. But don't be afraid. Now, it's an old and well-tested, and as I said, every reference in the Bible yells it out, but it's one that, isn't it funny, that we need to actually hear it each and every day, because somehow there's that good old fear sort of taps us on the shoulder and we sort of pull back or we become tentative. There's a boldness about Pentecost because the disciples were afraid. They were huddled in the upper room until the Spirit came. But then they were bold. There were consequences, but they changed the world. So be not afraid. Use those wonderful and generous hearts and be joyful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Archbishop Pat. Thank you for joining us. I've really enjoyed this time getting to know you a little bit better, and I think it's safe to say that we all can't wait to get to know you better, and we really look forward to being on this journey together. Thanks.
Thank you. I look forward to that too.